Hi everyone, and welcome to my Black Friday / winter sale book haul. I know that I just did my October / November book haul, but then I realized that I had another box that I did not include in that one and decided to make like a separate video for it. Plus, I don't think I will be buying any more books in December, so that would be my kind of wintry book haul. And the first book that I have here is actually the book that I won in a raffle at event at the Toronto Reference Library. That was the event devoted for, basically it was a French books fair. It was called the Le Salon de Livre something de Toronto, probably. My French is atrocious, but I won this book, which is, I believe, middle grade, and this is the story about a girl who is, I don't even know actually. I know that there is a school and there is some dark forces. That's all I know. And it's called Mica, fille de Transil. So basically it means that she's the daughter of Transylvania, meaning Transylvania, I believe. Here we go. This is the book. Next, there was a winter sale or Christmas sale at my library, and this was the first year that I actually attended it. I didn't even know it was happening, and then my friend texted me and I was like, oh my god, there is a book sale going on at the library. So of course I went there, and I was really surprised because I bought 7 books, and I bought 7 books for $7. So each book was just $1, and I just couldn't say no. And the first book that I have here is, I don't know why I didn't own this book yet. Maybe I do. Oh no. I'm pretty sure I have it as an audiobook, but I do not have it in paperback version. And this is Sherlock Holmes, A Study in Brimstone by G.S. Denning. So this is, the blurb at the back is quite fabulous, and it says, Sherlock Holmes is an unparalleled genius who uses the gift of deduction and reason to solve the most vexing of crimes. Sherlock Holmes, however, is not. He may be a font of arcane power, but frankly, he couldn't deduce his way out of a paper bag. The only things he's got going for him are the might of 1,000 demons, the spirit of Moriarty trapped in his head, and his stalwart companion, Dr. John Watson, who is always there to guide him from the treacherous shoals of Victorian propriety, and save him from a gruesome death every now and again. I think it sounds amazing, and I'm a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, as you know, so excited, and it's almost in a brand new condition. So next I have a copy of Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson, and I've been seeing this book a lot at Indigo, never had a chance to pick it up. Then I saw it at the fair and I was like, yeah, I'm getting it. This book is quite well known, I believe. This is a young adult novel, and something goes wrong at the party. The girl calls the cops, but then nobody ever talks to her, so she becomes a pariah at school, and she's desperately wants to talk to someone about what really happened at that party. And I'm really excited to read this book. It's not very thick, but I really want to read it. It just gives me a lot of 13 Reasons Why vibes for some reason. I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong with this one, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of people on my booktube list read this book and really enjoyed it, so I decided to give it a go. I really struggle talking right now because I'm not feeling well and the words are not really coming in the way they should. Next, I have a copy of the book called Elana, Son of the Lioness by Tamora Pierce. I've seen Sam from Sam's Nonsense channel mention this book a lot as one of her favorite childhood books, and I wanted to give it a go. I believe it's a fantasy, middle grade, maybe, YA book, and there is a horse on the cover. When I was a kid, I was absolutely obsessed by horses. I wanted to have a horse. I wanted to have like a horse friend. So this book should be exciting. I really like this cover too, and I'm happy to get it for just $1. Next, I have a copy of The Lost Apprentice by Joseph Delany, and this is one of the series that I've never read as a kid or a younger person, or just whenever that first book came out. So I saw this first book in quite a good condition and decided to give it a go. I am quite unfamiliar with what this story is about, but it's middle grade slash YA and fantasy. So this is pretty much everything I need to know. I'm sure that a lot of people on my channel, a lot of my subscribers have read these books. So if you have, please no spoilers, but let me know if you enjoyed them or not. Next, there is a book that I know nothing about and I've never seen it being mentioned by anyone. And this is Starters by Lisa Price. This is, I believe, a dystopian sci-fi novel, the first book in a trilogy. I've never heard anyone talk about this book, and this book is not too old either. I believe it was printed in 2012. Well, okay, 5 years ago, but still it's not ancient. I've never seen anyone talk about it, but I looked up the overall rating for it on Goodreads and it was fairly okay. And also I read the first, not chapter, but the first couple of pages and they were fairly good. And I was like, okay, nobody ever talks about this book, I might give it a go. Plus, I was really fascinated by the cover. It is very shiny. And here's what it says at the back. A girl with a terrifying choice. Her parents dead. Her brother sick. Her way out? Get paid to be somebody else. Who can she trust? No one. Well, sounds like a fairly typical dystopian premise, but I really like that there is something like micro schemes or some techy stuff happening here in the background, plus it's very shiny. So if you've heard of this book, let me know, but otherwise, hopefully I'll give it a go. Oh, and here it's blurred by Cami Garcia, and it says, fans of the Hunger Games will love it. So, probably a good thing. Next, I got a copy of Lock and Mori Mind Games, which is actually an advanced reader's proof. How did they even get that? I'm so surprised, but this is book number 2, I think, because the first one is Lock and Mori, and the second one is Lock and Mori Mind Games. I do not own the first book, but now I really want to get to it, and this is about descendants of Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty, and I don't really need to know anything else. I've been seeing this book around a lot, and I really like the cover, so yeah. It's an advanced reader's copy. I cannot believe I got an ARC from the library sale. This is so bizarre. And the last but definitely not least from that library sale is The Prestige by Christopher Priest. This book actually attracted me just by its cover. I also had a feeling as if I've read something by Christopher Priest before, but I checked the Goodreads and I haven't, so I'm quite confused about why I'm experiencing this déjà vu feeling. But just let me read you a blurb, because it sounded kind of interesting. 2 19th century stage illusionists, the aristocratic Rupert Angier, and the working class Alfred Borton engage in a bitter and deadly feud. The effects are still being felt by their respective families 100 years later. Working in the gaslight and velvet world of Victorian music halls, both men prowl edgily in the background of each other's shadowy life, driven to the extremes by a deadly combination of obsessive secrecy and insatiable curiosity. At the heart of the row is an amazing illusion they both perform during their stage acts. The secret of the magic is simple, and the reader is on it from the very start. By the antagonist, the real mystery lies deeper. Both have something more to hide than the mere workings of a trick. So it's a book about 2 rivals, illusionists, and magic tricks, and also Victorian England. I'm down for it. Sounds exciting. Hopefully I'll get to it at some point. And it also got a pretty good review by Kirkus, which is good, but otherwise, yeah. Next, I have this huge box from Book Outlet, and I'm going to unbox it right now because I didn't have time to even open the box. I got all of these books during their Black Friday sale, so I know that there are a lot of books here. Okay, and the first book that I see here is the one that I was super excited about, but I wasn't sure whether I wanted to get a paper copy or a Kindle version, and then at Book Outlet, the paper version was actually cheaper than Kindle, so I went with it. And this is Hammers on Bow by Cassandra Kaw. And this is a short story about a detective who investigates I believe he investigates the stepfather of a kid, and he's actually being hired by the kid, and there is a horror and there is a murder, and this cover is just stunning. So it's supposed to be a very Lovecraft type of story, and I'm all for it. I'm really excited about this one. Never heard of this writer, but a detective plus horror, yeah, for sure. Next, I have a copy of The Shock of the Fall by Nathan Filler, and this book was mentioned many times by some people that I follow on BookTube, and everyone is saying how this book is very well written, and it's actually was Costa Book of the Year, so that means something. This is a story of the boy who I don't know how to describe it. Essentially, something happened back in the day when this little boy and his brother went into the woods, but only the little boy returned, and nobody knows what happened. And this is the story about how he's dealing with it and sort of discovers what actually happened. I know that's not much of a synopsis, I'm sorry, but I know that this book is supposed to be very heartbreaking and also deals with mental health. And I'm very interested in reading it. If anyone read it, please let me know. Next, I have a copy of The Shadow Queen by C.J. Redwine, and I've seen this book all over. I've never gotten a chance to read it, and then I was like, oh, might as well. This is the retelling of Snow White. I'm quite fond of different fairy tale retellings. I was not sure if I wanted to read it as book itself or listen as an audiobook, but then I saw it on fairly cheap at Book Outlet and I got it. The only thing is that I'm slightly disappointed that this is a paperback instead of hardback, but it was so cheap that I just had to get it. Next, I have a copy of Love in the Time of Global Warming by Francesca Leah Block. I've had this book on my wishlist at Book Outlet for ages, not because this book was out of stock, but because I wasn't sure if I wanted to purchase it or not. And this is kind of like post-apocalyptic story, but it's also a love story, but I don't even know what it's about, to be honest. I just like the cover. Next, I have a copy of A Trick of the Light by Louise Metzeger, and this is a YA novel that also has to do with mental health. I don't really know much about it beyond that. I just know that it's about a main protagonist who had everything under control, like was playing sports in school, everything was great, but then there is a voice that appears in his head and how it affects everything. That's pretty much everything I know, and I've been meaning to read this one for a while, and I'm very happy to get it from Book Outlet. Next, I have a copy of the book that I've been trying to get from the library for a while, but they never acquired physical copies, only ebook copies. And I was like, yeah, I don't feel like reading ebooks. And this is The Murder Complex by Lindsay Cummings. So, I've heard good things about this book, and also not so good things about this book, but I like the concept, so I decided to give it a go. It's not a new release. I think this book was out in 2014, but I'm looking forward to reading it just to give it a try. Next, I have a copy of Flights and Chimes, Mysterious Times by Emma Trevane, and just look at this cover. It's so gorgeous. So it's set in London, I believe in Victorian London, and it's about a boy who travels from one London to another. It's supposed to be a bit, I think, steampunk and also fantasy, and this is middle grade if I'm not mistaken. But honestly, it was just a cover buy. I admit it. I read about this book on Goodreads and I was like, sounds interesting, so I put it into my cart. That's it. Next, I have a copy of Writers by Veronica Rossi, and I've seen this book on bookshelves and I was like, why I never picked it up? It's like about one of the 4 horsemen of apocalypse. Yeah, well, now I have it. And also Stunning Horse, because I think this book haul is a lot about horses for some reason. I heard some mediocre reviews about this book, and that's why I'm interested to see what I think about it. Next, I have a copy of Remix by Non Pratt, and this book has been Like, I've been trying to get a hold of this book for a while. I believe it is about a gay relationship and about two best friends and how everything changes after a music festival. And it's very orangey. I think it looks more orange in camera than it is in real life. It is a contemporary. I struggle with contemporaries, but still, might be a good one. Next, I have an adult books, which is surprising, and this is Dying Is My Business by Nicholas Kaufman. To be honest, I was just attracted to this book by the title, but I will also read you a synopsis. Well, I mean, like, and also cover, like, this situation here. And I will read you the synopsis and you will see why it might be my type of a book. Given his line of work in the employ of a psychotic Brooklyn crime boss, Trent finds himself on the wrong end of too many bullets. Yet, each time he is killed, he wakes a few minutes later completely healed of his wounds but with no memory of his past identity. What's worse, each time he cheats death, someone else dies in his place. Sent to steal an antique box from some squatters in an abandoned warehouse near the West Side Highway, Trent soon finds himself stumbling into an age-old struggle between the forces of good and evil, revealing a secret world where dangerous magic turns people into inhuman monstrosities, while impossible creatures hide in plain sight, and where the line between the living and the dead is never quite clear. And when the mysterious box is opened, he discovers he has only 24 hours to save New York City from certain destruction. It does sound like an epic Marvel movie for some reason. I don't know why, but I also like the idea of detectives, private investigators, and also death. And this is an urban fantasy, I believe, and this book is super dusty. Oh my god, just look at this. Ah, this is disgusting. Wow. Whoa. I need to wash my hands. And here's another book with a horse on the cover. And this is The Secret Horses of Briar Hill by Megan Sheffer. And I have no excuses for buying this book except for the fact that there's a horse and this is middle grade. And yeah, I just... and this cover is so stunning. And also the back of the cover. Oh, let's be honest. So what it says here at the back is... I have a secret. I won't tell Benny and other boys. They're like dogs in the night, snarling at anything that moves. I won't tell Anna either, even though she's nice to me and shares her colored pencils. But I'll tell you, this is my secret. There are winged horses that live in the mirrors of Briar Hill Hospital. Yeah? Gosh, it's either fantasy or magical realism, and I just love it. I hope this book will not disappoint because I'm already excited about the cover. Next, I have a copy of Trust Me, I'm Lying by Mary Elizabeth Summer. And I think this book was at like $1 at book outlet, so I had to get it, especially a hardback. And I believe this is a YA contemporary, but also a thriller. Might be mistaken, but I was actually recommended this book a while back by someone. Cannot really remember who it was, to be honest, but I was recommended because it has kind of twists, plot twists. And that's it, because I mean, a book for $1? You don't have to convince me here. Next, I have another book about mental illness, and this is Shizz Oh by Nick Sheff. And this book has been on my radar for a while. I wanted to get it, but then I thought I would be very upset because it also deals with mental health and suicide, if I'm not mistaken, or at least thoughts of suicide. And I wasn't sure how I would feel about it, but I think I want to read it. And this is pretty much all I know about this book. And the last but definitely not least, I have two books in duology. The first one, Because You'll Never Meet Me by Leah Thomas, and the sequel, Nowhere Near You. So, very pretty covers, hardbacks, I love that. But as far as I understand, this is the story about two boys who meet via mail, so they become pen pals, and somewhat this relationship kind of develops. Gives me a bit of a vibe of the Simon vs. Homo sapiens agenda, even though I believe this book came out before Simon. Let me have a look. Yeah, this one came out in 2015, so not exactly before Simon. But anyway, I'm excited to read this one and the sequel as well. I like the premise about how one boy has a pacemaker and another boy is definitely allergic to electricity. I think it's a very interesting premise. But please let me know if you read any of the books. I will be interested in hearing what you think of them. So these are all the books that I got for Black Friday and also during sale at my local library. Super exciting. I got 7 books at the local library plus 15 books from book outlets, so it's a huge haul. But hopefully I'll get to these books very soon because it's just every single one sounds amazing. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.